Yo, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be going over the MLB slate on DraftKings for Monday, May 21st. We have a 9-game slate tonight. Definitely interesting slate. We only have two pitching studs, at least two guys that are over $10,000 on DK. We got Zach Greinke and Gio Gonzalez, who are decent matchups, especially Gio. Gio gets to face the Padres at home. Greinke has a matchup with the Brewers in Miller Park. But if we do look to this mid-range, this is where I think this is where the slate gets really interesting. We've got some good mid-tier plays, guys with upside. Jose Barrios, coming off a great game, gets to face a really good matchup here with the Tigers, a team that's just not good offensively, that does have strikeouts. You got Tanaka in that mid-tier as well, who gets a strikeout-heavy team like the Rangers. So maybe we can fade the top options on the slate, could fade Greinke and Gio. Really look to this mid-tier, which I think is kind of loaded today. There are bats that I feel like you want to pay up for. The Yankees get Bartolo Colon. I know Colon's been decent. He's been able to just limit the damage lately, but I don't think that continues. Colon's bound to get mashed up one of these games. Could come today against this Yankees team that is very dangerous. In the Rangers Stadium, Texas, their ballpark is a great hitter's park. It's going to be hot there in Texas. I think the ball's going to be flying, especially for some of these Yankees bats. We're going to want to pay up for them. So maybe fading the cheap or the expensive pitchers on the slate might be something we do look to do. Before we do go through all the pitchers and some bats for today, make sure you guys drop a like on the video if you have not already. I would really appreciate it. And if you are new to the channel and you have not clicked that subscribe button yet, make sure you do subscribe down below so that way you won't miss out on any of my new videos. But yeah, like I mentioned, Greinke and Gio are two pitchers on this slate over 10K. Not really looking to pay up for either one, at least not like in cash games. I don't think you have to pay for these guys in cash. Maybe Gio could be a cash play, but he is 11,900. Gio just never really a guy I feel like I have to have. He's never a guy that burns me. You just look at his game log. He's faced his Padres team. I believe he's faced them twice this year. I think he's only played them once. Last game out was actually against the Padres. He went 6 innings with 5 hits allowed, 1 earned run, 3 walks, 8 strikeouts. Finished with 22 DraftKings points. The most DraftKings points that Gio has had this year is 29 versus Arizona, when he got 8 strikeouts in 7 innings, allowed 6 hits and a run. Gio's just never a guy I feel like I have to have, especially when he is this expensive, 11,900. Although it's a great matchup, I feel like I can get similar production, if not maybe guys outscore Gio that are a lot cheaper, especially a guy like Masahiro Tanaka, who I absolutely love today, especially for tournaments. Tanaka has been up and down this year, but this is still a guy that has a ton of upside, can get a ton of strikeouts. We've seen it this year. Got 9 strikeouts against the Angels, an Angels team that doesn't really strike out that much. Got 8 Ks against the Blue Jays, his first outing of the year. Like I said, he's been up and down. He's had some pretty rough games so far this year. Definitely has had some tough matchups, though. Has faced Boston twice this year. Those were 2 of his bad games. Faced the Astros and was kind of mediocre, but still managed to put up 13.9 DK points. This is a really good matchup here versus a Rangers team that swings and misses a lot, that chases pitches out of the zone. And Tanaka definitely gets swinging strikes, especially with that slider that he has. The ballpark's not good for pitchers. Obviously, the weather's not going to be good for pitchers either. It's going to be very hot in Texas. But I still like Tanaka here. This Rangers team only has a 4 implied run total for today. With Bartolo Colon on the opposing mound, I think the Yankees can give Tanaka some run support. He can get a win, and he can definitely put up a monster game to return value on this $8,900 price tag. If you want to go to Tanaka in tournaments, I think that's a great play. In cash games, don't know if I'd go there. Tanaka might be a little bit too risky for cash. You might want to get up to like Mikolas in cash, or even go all the way up to Gio. But I think Tanaka is a high upside play that you can use in tournaments. Then probably my favorite SP2 on the slate by far is Jose Barrios at 8,500. Barrios is just too cheap in my opinion, especially for this matchup with the Tigers. Barrios, another guy that's kind of been up and down this year, but really got things going. In his last start against the Cardinals, pitched 7 in a 1/3 inning, only allowed 1 run, got 10 strikeouts, 36 DraftKings points. I don't think anything's wrong with Barrios. I don't think he's going to be like a bad pitcher. I don't think we're going to continue to see him get 10 plus strikeouts every game, but with this matchup with the Tigers, with him only being 8,500, coming off a great start, I think Barrios is in another good spot here, and I think he's going to put up another solid game. Although it's unlikely he produces 10 or more strikeouts again, this is definitely a strikeout matchup, a matchup where Barrios can get some Ks. This Detroit Tigers team, they do have Ks in their lineup, especially with guys like Jacoby Jones, John Hicks, James McCann, even guys towards the bottom like Iglesias and Machado aren't guys that strike out a ton, but they're just not very good hitters. So I love this spot for Barrios. Tigers only have a 3.7 implied run total for today. With Blaine Hardy on the opposing mound, I think the Twins are also able to give Barrios some run support here. They have a high total. Love Barrios, 8,500. If you want to pair him with Gio and do that in cash games, Gio and Barrios for cash, I think that makes sense. If you want to go Tanaka and Barrios in tournaments, I think that's a great option as well. Barrios, you can use him in cash in tournaments. I think he's just a good play all around. Definitely one of my favorite pitching options on this slate. And then if we want to look at other pitchers that I didn't really mention, Zach Greinke against the Brewers, I don't think I'm very interested in. I think I'd rather play Gio if I'm paying up for one of those two guys. I think Gio most likely outscores Greinke. But if you do not want to go to those guys and you want to save a little bit of salary, I think Miles Mikolas as your SP1 makes a lot of sense here versus the Royals. This isn't a heavy K team. The Royals are not a team that strikes out a ton, but I love Mikolas here getting the home matchup, getting the Royals in the National League. They're going to lose their DH. Going to put a pitcher in the lineup. With Ian Kennedy on the opposing mound, kind of the same thing goes here. Mikolas should have some run support. The Cardinals should be able to put up some runs on Kennedy, so he's probably able to get a win. Although there aren't a ton of Ks in this lineup, there's still guys like Jorge Soler, Alcides Escobar, the pitcher, obviously. Definitely some Ks there. Alex Gordon, some Ks there as well. So I like Mikolas here if you wanted to play him and Barrios. If you want to do that in cash games, I think that makes sense. Mikolas is an option, I feel like, at 9,800 if you want to go to him. And then looking at some of like the cheaper options, Walker Buehler against the Rockies. Getting the Rockies outside of Coors could be a play, but with him being similarly priced to Tanaka and Barrios, I do feel like Tanaka and Barrios might have more upside than Buehler. But Buehler could be a cash play. The guy's been very consistent this year. Could use him as a safe option. But for value pitchers, there really isn't a lot I love that's like dirt cheap. Just these guys like Vargas, Hernandez, Kennedy, Santiago. I'm not really going to look to these guys. Herman Marquez, Bartolo Colon, Cashner. I doubt I'm going to these guys. So for pitcher for me, if I'm paying all the way to the 10K and above range, I'd probably play Gio at 11.9, but definitely a guy I don't feel like I have to have on the slate. Really pitcher for me, I'm focusing on Mikolas, Buehler, Tanaka, and Barrios, especially Tanaka and Barrios. By far my two favorite options on the slate. When you do go with Tanaka and Barrios, that still leaves you nearly 4,100 remaining per player for your hitters. A lot of salary to work with. Could definitely pay up for some bats on the slate if we choose to do that. But for my first hitter, I'm not going to be looking to pay up. I actually like a value play here at second base. Brian Dozier at 3,900 versus a lefty, I feel like is a great value. This is a great matchup. Blaine Hardy is not a very good pitcher. Dozier, has always been good versus lefties, and he has great value here at 3,900. Projected bat leadoff, just a great option if you're looking to go cheap at second base. Although Dozier's been struggling lately, this is definitely a matchup where he can pick things up. 3,900 leading off versus lefties. Dozier's always been good versus lefties. Like I said, great value play it at second base if you're looking to go cheap there. Then my next play, another cheap option I really like. Been struggling lately, but definitely a bounce back spot for Didi Gregorius here at 3,900 versus Bartolo Colon. Love this spot for Didi. I think this is a spot where we see him bounce back. We're getting some great value here with just $3,900 price tag on Gregorius and a great matchup versus Colon. Like I said, Colon's been able to limit the damage this year. He really hasn't gotten blown up, but I think regression's coming. I think we're going to start seeing Bartolo Colon give up more home runs, just give up runs in general. And it could come versus this Yankees team that has such a dangerous lineup, has so much power in their lineup. I think this lineup is a great stack, top to bottom, starting from Gardner all the way down to Torres. You can play any of these guys. This is just their projected lineup, but if this is the lineup that they roll out, I definitely like a lot of these guys, especially some of the cheaper options you can use for value. Didi is under 4K. Gardner's just over 4K at 4,100. You got Aaron Hicks, projected about 6, who is 3,800, who's been hitting the ball really well. Neil Walker, I think, could be another good value at first base if you want to go cheap there. He's only 3,400. Love the Yankees here. Love the ballpark. Love the heat. Just going to be good hitters weather and really favor the hitters. And I think Gregorius, great option at 3,900 and a matchup with Bartolo Colon. And then my final play in the outfield, looking to pay up here for a stud, Giancarlo Stanton in that same game. Love him here versus Bartolo Colon. He's got really good BVP versus Colon. If we look at the sample and just look at the numbers in general, he's 6 for 16 with 2 home runs, a 375 average in his career versus Colon. We're obviously not playing Giancarlo for the BVP. We're playing him just because the guy has so much power versus a pitcher that I think we're going to see give up some home runs. And like I said, this Yankees team has so much power. Colon's going to give up a home run or two today, I feel like. Giancarlo's probably going to hit one. Didi could possibly hit one as well. And I just think there's so much upside in this lineup, and I love Giancarlo and Didi from the Yankees. You can obviously go to Aaron Judge, Brett Gardner. You can look to all of those guys. Gary Sanchez, if you can pay up a catcher. Definitely like that lineup top to bottom. But yeah, guys, these are my 5 plays for today. 5 guys that I do like: Masahiro Tanaka, Jose Barrios, Brian Dozier, Didi Gregorius, and Giancarlo Stanton. Now moving on to stacks and some of the highest implied run totals on the slate. Definitely number one stack for me is the Yankees. Not really going out on a limb. I just feel like the regression's coming for Colon. He's going to start giving up homers, going to start allowing runs, and it could come tonight versus the Yankees. They're by far my top stack. And then if we want to look to other teams, I think the Twins and the Cardinals are both teams you can look to, especially if you're looking for some value. Brian Dozier, great value from the Twins. If you want to go to Escobar, Mitch Garver could be a cheap catching option at 3,100, projected at 5th. Really like the Twins here if you're looking for a value stack. Also like the Cardinals as well versus Ian Kennedy. Matt Carpenter could be great value at second base or third base. He started heating up lately. If you're not playing Dozier at second base, you could go to Carpenter, or you could play him at third base. You can play him on third base, or you can play him at third base on DraftKings. You got Marcelo Zuna projected at 4th at 3.3K, just good value from the Cardinals, good value from the Twins. And then if you can pay up for some of these Yankees bats, I think that makes sense as well. But that's kind of the teams I'm really looking to for stacks for today. Now if we want to move on to the BVP plays, looking at BVP plays on the slate with the decent sample size, going to try and hit on the ones with like at least a 15, 20 at-bat sample. Just looking at some of these Phillies, they've hit Mike Fultonevich well. Maikel Franco, 6 for 16 with 2 home runs. Abdul Herrera, 8 for 25 with the home run. Giancarlo and Neil Walker have both hit Bartolo Colon well. Giancarlo, like I said earlier, 6 for 16 with 2 home runs. And Neil Walker is 4 for 13 with a home run. Only guy that's hit Masahiro Tanaka well from the Rangers with at least a 10 at-bat sample is Shin-Soo Choo. He's 5 for 12, 417 average. A lot of these Orioles have hit Hector Santiago well. Chris Davis only has 2 hits in 10 at-bats versus him, but one of those hits was a home run. Adam Jones, 4 for 11 with the home run versus Santiago. Trumbo's 2 for 10, but his 2 hits, both of the hits were home runs. And then Danny Valencia, 7 for 20 versus Hector Santiago. And then lastly, Wellington Castillo is 5 for 12 versus Andrew Kashner. But now moving on to pitchers, there really are no pitchers on the slate that have done really well in the matchups they have, at least with a decent sample size. But there are some pitchers that have struggled in their matchups. Bartolo Colon is one of them. He has struggled against this Yankees team. Through 70 at-bats, the Yankees have hit him for a 343 average, and they have 6 home runs through 70 at-bats. Love the Yankees here. I think we finally see Bartolo really give it up. And last 2 pitchers that have done poorly in their matchups for today, Hector Santiago has struggled against the Orioles. The Orioles have hit him for a 293 average through 82 at-bats, and Ian Kennedy has struggled against the Cardinals. The Cardinals have hit him for a 292 average through 72 at-bats. But yeah, guys, that's really it for BVP and PVB on this slate. That really is it for this video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy the video. Hopefully it helped you. If you did enjoy, like always, before you get out of here, would really appreciate it if you would click that like button. And if you have not subscribed yet, make sure you do subscribe. If you have any questions, you can always hit me up on Twitter at the DFS_GOAT, or feel free to leave a comment down below, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Good luck tonight on this slate, guys. Peace.